It seems like we are living in a world where our attention span for most of us just continues to decline. And some people say that social media is a huge part of this, and I can see where that happens. Our attention span is so short and it just keeps getting shorter. So when we are feeling overwhelmed and we've got so many things distracting us, it can be really hard to focus. So it's even more important to create some space in your day for focus time. And this focus time is where we can really dive into the task or tasks at hand and minimize distractions so we can be really productive. And when we can be productive, it helps to open up more space in our schedules because we are spending less time doing the things that we need to do. And while we have the best of intentions to have these focus times, in reality, there are going to be situations where you end up getting interrupted during your focus time. And this could be a phone call or a text notification, or your kids come up and disturb you, or even if you're in the office and a colleague pops into your office. These are all ways that you could get interrupted, and it can be really hard to get back on track after this happens. So, in this episode, we're going to first talk about some things of how to create and use focus time, but then also how to refocus when you're thrown off course.
Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renae Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast.
When I realized how much I needed focus time, I was floored at how much more productive I could be. I tend to have a lot of things that I'm thinking about at all times, and I used to have this super long to-do list of things that needed to be done. And I would just go into my day, whether it was doing home tasks or work tasks or anything like that. I would just go into it with this giant list of things to do and just start tackling them and have no plan and have no order or segmented time to actually focus on specific things. And it was always incredibly overwhelming. I would be working on multiple things at once and I would be trying to bounce back and forth between them. And it would just be mentally exhausting. And I would get to the end of the day and feel like I didn't even get anything done or I didn't get what I wanted to get done. It was just kind of a mess. So when I started creating blocks of focus time, this really allowed me to get things that I was trying to do in an 8-hour day. I was able to get them done in like an hour or two because I was condensing everything into a block of time that was just way more focused. And it was because I had a plan. I started doing it at work, I started doing it at home, and it really does make a huge difference in being able to get things done quickly. And then when you actually have a plan, you are able to get it into a shorter block. So not only are you actually getting the things done that you want to get done, but you're getting it done in a short time frame so that there's more space in your day that opens up. So you're feeling more productive, you're feeling less mentally exhausted, and you feel like you have more free time to start doing other things that you enjoy. So there are so many benefits to this, but the one thing that can derail it is when we get interrupted and we don't have a plan on how to bounce back and get back on track. So it's great to have the focus time and to understand how to do that, but then we also need to know what our plan is when we get interrupted because life is life and we're going to get interrupted at some point. So there are just some tips that I kind of want to walk through with you. I listed 7 of them, so I'm just going to go through and you'll notice that some of these are about getting focus time in and then also how to get back on track to help you if you've never thought about having like designated focus time. Hopefully this will help you consider it and give it a try and actually be able to utilize it really well in your life. So, number one, Start by silencing distractions. This is your phone, your TV, or if you're home with your kids, set them up with like a quiet activity or let them go outside and play if you have an area that you can do that. Things like that, where you can kind of try to minimize any distractions that you know you're going to get pulled to, is a good way to set yourself up for success. So anything that you can avoid, go ahead and set that up before you even consider going into your focus time, because if you go into focus time and everything is distracting you, all it's going to do is get you really frustrated. And so that is not helpful at all. So the first thing is to just silence or minimize distractions. Number 2 is to know your task. So we need to know the task at hand, even if it's one single task or if it is that list of tasks that you're working on. You still need to know what you're working on first. We don't want to have a list of 10 tasks. We don't want to look at that and focus on 3 or 4 at a time and then bounce back between and try and get things done. That's not going to be helpful at all. So if you have a to-do list of the tasks that you're sitting down to do or you're in your house doing, what I want you to do is reorder that list by priority. So I want you to take it and I want you to reorder it so that the most important task is at the top of the list, the second most important is next, and you just go down the line and then focus on one first. I don't want you focusing on multiple things. I want you to just focus on the one thing first and do it until it's done. Then once it's done, move on to the next thing. I guarantee you will be more productive at getting them all done if you focus on one, do it as quickly and as focused as you can, and then move on to the next thing. When you are bouncing between, it's harder to bring your focus back in because mentally you have to refocus every time you bounce between tasks. And then if you get interrupted, you have to think about what you were working on and try and get back into that mode of being able to understand what it was you were focusing on. So, this also helps when you are really focusing on just one task. If you are getting interrupted, it's going to be okay because it's going to be much quicker for you to bounce back into that single task and just pick up where you left off rather than coming back into 3 or 4 different things that you were working on at once, and now it's like, "Oh, wait, where was I in all of this?" So, it's much easier when you're just focusing on a single task at a time and getting it done. Number 3 is to use timers to outline a time block. When you are going into a task and you don't have a time block set, it can be really hard to know when to stop or what happens if you do get interrupted, and all of a sudden something that should take you an hour, it takes 3 hours because you're getting all of these different interruptions, and then you're not really sure when you should end because you're still working on things, and it ends up extending things out throughout the day that can be very tiresome. So what we wanna do is we want to actually create a short time block for our focus time. So then we know that this is the time that we have to do these tasks, and this is the time I'm gonna try and get it all done within. And then it opens up time later. So, like for instance, I never set a timer for more than 20 minutes because I know that anything longer than 20 minutes is going to give me more opportunity for distraction. But 20 minutes is a long enough time frame for me to get things done, but it's also a short enough time frame so that I stay focused and get less distracted. So with that, I end up just setting a timer and then I have my single task, like my priority task that I'm going to work on first. And I get that done. When I get it done, I move on to the next thing and I just see how many I can check off that list before my timer goes off. Now, does that mean that you can only do 20 minutes of focus time? No, it doesn't. Because when that timer goes off and you are in the flow and you're ready to go, all you have to do is repeat your timer and go for another 20 minutes and keep going. Now, if you get interrupted during this timed time, then you all you have to do is just pause your timer, take care of the issue, resolve whatever needs to be resolved, and then resume the timer and then get back into that task where you left off. And when you're focusing on just one task at a time, again, that is going to be easier to just bounce right back into that task. So it makes a huge difference. Plus, if you have kids, this is a really good opportunity to let them know about your timer because you could totally tell them that you are going to do something and you've got a timer that is set. And when it goes off, that is the time where you're going to come and play with them, or you guys are going to do an activity, or you're going to do something else. But you need focus time, and they get the opportunity to have their own focus time. So, this might be a time where it's like, okay, you get to go play with your toys, you get to read a book snuggled up in a cozy blanket and do something like that, like anything that they enjoy. And then you guys both have this agreement where you guys each have your own focus time. And then when the timer goes off, you'll come back together because both of you got the time you needed to do whatever it was you wanted to do. So that's just an idea. If you've got kids, like depending on their ages, that might work for you. The fifth thing is when an interruption occurs, don't try to focus on both things at the same time by trying to multitask. So, if you are in the middle of doing something and somebody does interrupt you, it's going to be common for a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us are going to try to continue doing what we're doing while someone is talking to us or while something else is happening. And then it's just really distracting. So you're better off just pausing what you're doing and turning and giving full attention to the interruption. And if you need to let them know that you're going to get to it after this block of time, then you can write it down if you need to so you don't forget and you don't have to think about it anymore, and then get back into what you're doing. Or if it's something that does need to be resolved immediately, then just go and take care of that and come back, resume your timer, and then go back into your task. So there are going to be interruptions, but when we can try to minimize the period of time of how long it's going to take us to get back into focus and not give up, that's what we're going for. We want to just be able to bounce back, and this is what is going to help do that. So, number six is to have a way to organize those tasks and priorities so that you can move on. So, if you are somebody that gets interrupted or something comes up that you have to do, or you think of something and it's like, oh, I need to do that right now because otherwise I'm going to forget, have a way to organize those thoughts or tasks. You want like one method so that you're not scattering, post-its everywhere, or you're not writing things in notebooks, or you're not writing something in your planner and having 15 different areas of these notes of trying to keep everything organized. That is in itself is going to be really messy and hard to manage. So I would suggest doing one place, whether it is in your paper planner. But the other thing to think about is you might not always have your paper planner with you. So, what I would suggest doing is that if you always have your phone with you, or pretty much always have your phone with you, I would do a notes app, or I love using Google Keep. I have talked about this many times for groceries. It makes it super easy to just title it what you want so it's searchable and then create your list. So if you have something like this where you can create a task list or a to-do list that kind of collects your thoughts, or just some sort of system where you can think about something and then just immediately pull up your phone, write the note, and then put it back down and go back into your work, because then you know you're not going to forget. So put whatever information you need in there and then get back to your task at hand, because that is one of the big struggles is we don't want to forget about something. So then it's always that distraction at the back of our minds. So we want to avoid that if at all possible. So the next thing is number 7, which is after an interruption, take the time that you need to collect your thoughts and focus on a small task first. So, this is something that is very useful when you have like that priority task list where you have it ordered on what you're going to do first. Like your go-to task when you get interrupted could totally be that you just take a deep breath, you reset your timer, and your first step is to review your task list. Like if you know that you have really gotten pulled away and you're really distracted and you just can't get back into it, have that be your default, is that if you get interrupted, you come back, you set your timer, and you review your list. And then you focus on the one thing at the top and then you get back into it. And that could be your default. And if you try that and it's not working for you, but you have found something else that really helps you get back into focus, then go ahead and do that as your default instead of reviewing your task list. You have to kind of test this out and see what really works for you and then use that to your advantage. So, those are the big things that you want to really focus on so that you can use a block of focus time. You can set yourself up for success by sitting down or going into this block of time, keeping it minimal, keeping it really focused, and having those default routines of how to get back into it and refocus if you get interrupted at all. So, these are ways that you can really use this to your advantage and see how it works for you and see if it helps you. And the other thing I want to say is that when you try this, it might not be perfect to start. You're going to have to kind of do this over and over and just test it out and see what kind of tweaks you can make to really make it work for you and benefit you. And you'll find that maybe you're doing things the exact same way I am, but you might find that there are other things that you need to do for you because they work better for the way that your brain works, and it just helps you stay focused and then refocus when you get interrupted. And you'll find what works best for you, but just keep trying and you will find your flow. I guarantee it. So, I'll do a quick recap of how you can use that focus time and then get back on track when you have an interruption. Is number one, you want to silence any distractions. Number two is to know your task and organize that task list. Number three is to use timers. Number four is to keep your focus time block short. So this is 20 minutes or less is what I would recommend. And then you can repeat them if you need to, but keep it short so that you stay focused in the meantime. Number five is that when an interruption occurs, don't try to focus on both at the same time and multitask. Just pause what you're doing, resolve the issue, or write it down if you need to remember it, and then resume your activity. Number six is to have a way to organize those tasks and priorities so that you can just make a note of it and move on. This is where you can have some sort of default list that you can add to when you think of things and something comes up where you have to handle this. You can just write it down and maybe even add it to your priority list and then move back into the task at hand. So that is something that's going to be really important for you to organize those thoughts so that you don't have to think about them. You can just know that they're taken care of and move on to what you were working on. And then the last one is number seven is that after an interruption takes place, take time to collect your thoughts and have almost like a little ritual of how to get back into the mode of your task. So this might be to just take a deep breath and then review your priority list and know what task you're working on first and then reset your timer. And like that might be what you need to get back into your focus mode, but this is something that you will also need to kind of play around with to see what works best for you and helps you get back on track quickly. So I hope you take this and find it useful and you can start using those focus times and just plug them in throughout your week. You don't have to do it every day, but plug them in when you need them and see how they work for you and create your own little refocus routine of what you can do to get yourself back on track during these times to help you reset and refocus.
Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.